So this review is of Superman and Lois. So I was pleasantly surprised by this particular series. I've been basically disappointed by everything that the CW has produced as of late, with the exclusions of the first maybe 4 seasons of The Flash. Black Lightning was really good. The first 5 or 6 seasons of Arrow. And after that, it just seems like the CW, when it comes to DC properties, has just took a giant dump on the source material and the lore. But Superman and Lois is really different. Essentially, they have taken the approach of putting Superman in a setting where he has been Superman for most of his adult life, and now he is married to Lois Lane and has 2 boys, Jonathan and Jordan. What makes the series interesting is that it accomplishes what a lot of other properties say that they're trying to accomplish when it comes to casting and diversity and all these things, while not tokenizing any characters. It is honestly phenomenal, and yet so simple how it works. It's almost as if you cast characters that are like their comic book counterparts and just put characters of color and of different types of backgrounds into a story, and it just works without you making a big deal about it. One of such character is the character, I can't spoil it because I want everybody to watch it, but he's known as the Stranger in the first couple of episodes, and you'll find out who his real identity is later on in the season. But he is fantastic. He is actually played by Wole Parks. I hope I'm saying this brother's name right, but he is a phenomenal character in this series. Other than that, Tyler Hoechlin plays a really convincing Clark and Superman, astonishingly. When I first saw this casting, I was kind of 50-50 on him because I'd seen him in other things and he just didn't strike me as Superman. But seeing him in this really cemented it for me. I wasn't really convinced in the Crisis whole mini-series, but seeing him in this particular series really hits it home for me. Elizabeth Tulloch, who I've seen in Grimm, she was really good, really good as Lois, really convincing, very flawed character, and yet she is very convincing. So what do I like about this series? Well, first and foremost, the series is set in Smallville, but it does the Smallville aspects better than the original Smallville. And what do I mean by that? Well, they basically create a Smallville in this series that is a small town that is basically on the verge of collapsing due to jobs and things leaving the town, and it is portrayed in a modern sensibility for what is happening currently to a lot of small towns. They're either becoming ghost towns, or they're being gobbled up by large corporations and corporate interests. And that is basically sewn throughout the entire narrative of the series, but not in a way that's preachy or just really after school special like. It's actually done in such a way where it's a backdrop, like a proper backdrop, and that's just happening in the world. Other than that, the family aspect of this show, I am so surprised in today's climate with entertainment that this show is even allowed to be written in this way. It is a nuclear family. Lois and Clark are very much active parents in their child's lives. They obviously care about their children, and their children care about them. There's a love and a warmth that's you really do not see in this type of storytelling. The children love their parents, even though they have problems. One particular problem that they actually talk about, and is a persistent plot point in the story, is that one of Superman's sons, Jordan, actually is on the autism spectrum, and it's done in such a way that it's not like oh, he's disabled, but they are very aware that he experiences his emotions in a different way than most people, and it's handled very carefully. I'm actually very surprised that this is coming out of the CW. And what I mean by that is not only the writing, but the special effects, the acting, everything is done on a premium scale that you really don't see in CW shows. And it's almost like the show is out of place, but in a good way. Other than that, all the side characters really they all have arcs. Like, they all have character building arcs that go somewhere, whether that be Lana Lang or her husband. They have a arc. They start one way in the beginning of the season and they end on a completely different note. Their daughter Sarah is actually really good. Like, all the child actors are surprisingly convincing, and that's very rare for a television show in general, not to mention a CW show. It's just a refreshing series to really watch, and watching the series, it brings you back to 90s television, but without the cheese. It's done in such a way that makes you want to continue watching each and every episode and getting to know all of these characters, whether they be Superman himself or the young lady that runs the Smallville Gazette. Like, all of the characters literally are important, and it is done in such a way that no character is wasted. One of the standout characters, which I didn't think I was going to like going in, is actually Lois's father, General Kent. He is basically the liaison between Superman and the United States government, and his balancing act that he has to perform by taking care of his family and putting them on his priority list, while also protecting the rest of the world from foreign and domestic threats, whether that be threats against Superman himself or intergalactic threats against the world. They're done. His character is very layered, and he's very thoughtfully done, but at the same time, you can tell that he's a no-nonsense military man, and they deal with his particular parenting style when Lois was a young girl, as opposed to his grandparenting style to both Jonathan and Jordan. And it's a very interesting juxtaposition in the realities of grandparents, and how grandparents might have been hard parents, but they're very understanding grandparents. And that's another thing that just makes this series fantastic. The action is actually even though it's not the focus of the series, it's done surprisingly well. Like I said, they must have had a larger budget as opposed to other CW shows, because the action is done well. The fights are actually very intricate. They're not zoomed in, to where you can't see, and they're not particularly zoomed out to where the details of the fights are not visible, such as what's done in like early Smallville episodes. So I really enjoyed it. They definitely project the power of Superman. They don't really shy away from the idea that Superman is a godly, powerful being. And I think that is really done well. One mystery that is really fun is the Stranger mystery, the gentleman in the armored suit. Just the idea that he has the technology to really go toe-to-toe with Superman in the early episodes of the season is fantastic. I can't really say enough good things about this series. It doesn't do the whole preachy woke thing, which is also very surprising. The way that people talk to each other in the series is the way that people talk to each other in normal day-to-day conversation. And that's just so refreshing that everybody doesn't have to announce their pronouns or their ethnicity or anything stupid that normal people don't do when they speak to each other. Is just really a breath of fresh air. Honestly, if you want to watch a very entertaining DC property, if you really want to, like, I'm not even a fan of Superman, not in that way, but I really like this show. And I feel like if the more people that give it a chance, you'll really like this show too. I'm going to have to give this a solid 10 out of 10. I never give 10 out of 10s, but Superman and Lois is a show to watch. If you have not watched it, it is not a standard CW show. It's not full of, teenage angst and melodrama. Give it a watch. You will not be disappointed. All right, well, that's all I have to say about this, guys. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace.